Hello, everyone. This is our Hawaiian Volcano summary for October 30th, 2024. Kīlauea's earthquakes that ramped up last week in the East Rift zone have cycled back down in the last couple of days since the start of this week. And this seems to resume the previous pattern we had before the recent eruption at Nāpau, where we had these pulses of injection of magma underground that would ramp up the earthquakes and then let them ramp back down again as well. So we'll see if that pattern continues, but that's what it resembles right now. Earthquake counts for the last month per day, you can see have gone down here to closer to what they were previously to that ramp up last week. Looking at our earthquake map, the earthquakes are in more or less the same places. We still have that cluster near the eruption site at Nāpau. That's our primary concern there. But also we've seen earthquakes in this East Rift connector area and in the caldera itself to some degree as well. You can see that over the last week, there's been a lot of other events here in the flank boundary between Maunaloa and Kīlauea. Also on the south flank, that's just seaward of this active zone of Kīlauea with the summit and East Rift here. So as that fills with magma, it puts pressure on the south flank, which then wants to wiggle its way seaward, and it causes these little earthquakes here. If we look at the tilt meters that show us what part of the volcanoes are inflating, we can see here that the Sand Hill Station is showing the Halemaumau area inflating slightly here, and the South Caldera also inflating at a similar pace, and that's different than last week when we saw them working in opposite directions. This past week, or the more recent days here, have been in sync. So the summit is taking most of the magma, it seems like now, because further down we can see at the escape road tilt meter, things have gone from being somewhat flat to now decreasing over the past week in a direction where we've seen signals with recent intrusions. And further afield at the Puʻu'ōʻō crater tilt meter, looking at the green component that looks west towards Nāpau and Makapuhi, we saw that initial pulse registered on the INSAR satellite image last week. The second pulse came in last week in the signals, and here recently, since then, we've been fairly flat. So it seems like the pulse is matching the earthquake count cycling down as well on the East Rift. And we would expect something to resume like it has in the past. So that's Kīlauea. Maunaloa has been pretty quiet. There have been a few more adjustment earthquakes surrounding the summit area. If you look at the depth and time plot, you can see that they focus largely in this upper 10 kilometers of crust, with a couple of deeper events as well coming in. All of that is still fairly low in activity, with earthquake counts down from last week where they had just slightly bumped upwards. Now our maximum for the last week has been 3 earthquakes yesterday in the summit region. So still quite low seismicity as the volcano adjusts and continues to refill with magma recovering from a 2022 eruption. So here's the whole last month on Maunaloa, just giving you a clearer picture of the slower long-term adjustment in comparison to the density of earthquakes we see on Kīlauea. And that's our Hawaiian volcano summary for this week.